if you're interested to see how she compares, and by she I mean Martha, to Thea, then I would say that
it's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
What is up, heroes of Dominion? My name is Charlie. This is Hero War Central, and in this video I'm going to show you how to defeat every team in a Gold League Guild War using Martha. I had a lot of comments after yesterday's Thea video, personal messages as well as comments on the video saying that Martha is better because she takes less investment overall to be effective than does Thea, and the sentiment was also echoed with Dorian and Celeste. With a specific comment I'll put on screen there just so you can get your shout out. Deserve it. It was a great idea. I thought that I would talk a little bit about Martha. Everyone says to me that you shouldn't level up Martha too much. I am doing max testing here, so I guess we'll see if it hurts her after all. One of the cool things about Martha is Dante lines don't really affect her too much because she's all the way in the back. Unfortunately, if there is an enemy that will knock over her totem, she doesn't really do much in the fight. But we see a lot of teams like this, Dante with Nebula, with Iris, double healer, which is very interesting. So I thought that we would try some stuff out. I wanted to continue using Yasmine because I still feel like she's very strong. She's an auto pick for me if the enemy isn't using one of the 2 or 3 hard counters for her. And I wanted to use Astaroth because I felt like with Nebula boosting Dante, the possibility of him one-shotting one of my heroes is pretty high, and I wanted Astaroth to revive. I feel like if Nebula boosted Dante wasn't the thing here, then I would probably use Yasmine tank instead of having a tank at all. It is possible that any other tank would be fine in this instance. I was having a conversation with somebody earlier on about how Dante has less armor penetration than Corvus has armor, so Dante by himself can't take down a Corvus. Of course, a Nebula boosted Dante is another story altogether. We are going to go ahead and stick with our power couple of Arachne and Maya for the crowd control. I was using Morrigan a bit in the Thea video, but Morrigan and Yasmine actually don't do very well, specifically if the enemy is using a thick healer like Martha in the back. Forcing a lot of Yasmine's damage to the back line is not great, especially if you're trying to get her to kill an enemy Iris very quickly, which is in many cases why I would pick Yasmine over other physical attackers in the meta right now. But that's again, that's a conversation for a different video. Before we move on to fight 2, I do want to give a request. I'm going to send a request out there. I am once again trying to build the max stats, a maxed stats spreadsheet for Hero Wars Facebook and web, something that can be sorted and distributed to the community, something that we can keep up to date like I have for the mobile version of things. If you have a maxed out hero, and I'm talking maxed items, skins, glyphs, sparks, or gift of the elements, I need the ascension tree maxed out. I need the tree of wisdom maxed out as well. If you have a maxed out hero, 100% maxed out top to bottom, I would like a screenshot and proof that you have it so we can start building this together. I know that Hero Wars Wiki has all the stats on there, but the first 3 that I looked at were actually incorrect. So I'm not going to use Hero Wars Wiki for those stats. They're good for reference, but not for what I'm going for, which is precision. So if you have a max hero, please reach out to me on Discord or Facebook Messenger. On to fight number 2. So team number 2 is very similar to the first fight that we had, with the notable exception of no healers on this team. We have Sebastian to protect against debuffs, but Maya Arachne is just too much for Sebastian. And Fafnir, I guess, to try to boost the damage output of Dante, protect your Dante in lieu of, say, a Rufus or another tank to protect him. This fight is pretty straightforward, and again, I just kind of wanted to show off the power of Arachne Maya because of, even if you have a Sebastian, it doesn't really help much. Same 5 heroes just to kind of show it off. Would another healer or tank be better here? Maybe, but it doesn't matter. A win is a win. Still haven't added any heroes. Let's go ahead and speed things up and move on to the next fight. Well, there you go. Stun lock, and then Yasmine just poisons you down. Nebula held out for a while. Adding in some new heroes for this fight just because of how necessary it is to have Isaac leveled up. I didn't use Isaac at all in the Thea teams yesterday. I Was hoping to not have to use Isaac at all today, but whenever you're using double mage on defense, you're just asking for Isaac. I did add Sebastian in here as well. It's good to have Sebastian leveled up, and you know, if Satori ever wakes up from being silenced here, Sebastian's role is to remove the Foxfire marks from my Yasmine, and really, you know, prevent him from going off and doing too much damage. Of course, he's kind of flimsy once you start doing the pure damage stacking up to him. This Nebula doesn't last nearly as long, and there goes the Martha. Now, question I get asked a ton is why I don't use a pet on Martha. Keeping her defenses slightly lower whenever the enemy does not have a hero that'll hit her will help her ult a little sooner. It's a small marginal increase in her effectiveness, but if I was going up against an enemy Zhu or somebody that does a ton of area of effect damage like Ginger or Kira that would hit her in the back there, then I might be more inclined to use Axel or Oliver on her, but until I come across one of those, I don't use a pet on her. Here is yet another Dante tank line. I left the same team in as before, mostly because I'm lazy, and honestly, without anybody touching Martha in the back, her totem is a little bit more susceptible to getting knocked over with this Iris and this Heidi here. But we got hit there, unlucky hit from Dante, but of course the Astaroth revive saves the day. I think we did lose Arachne in this fight, but we end up winning out regardless. Once the enemy Iris is down, there just isn't enough damage. I mean, Heidi is good with pure damage, and the 2 dodge heroes in here helps prolong the fight a little bit longer. But without the Iris, there really isn't enough damage, especially with the low armor penetration that Dante has. And the stacking of the dodge and the critical hit ability and all of that from Yasmine. It's only a matter of time. Now, this is unfortunately where we have to diverge from our use of Yasmine in every team fight. You can see that I'm several fights deep into this video before I come across a counter to Yasmine. You can see that the enemy Corvus would, truck my Yasmine pretty effectively. I did just swap Yasmine out for Iris. Honestly, using Iris with Oliver, in some cases even Biscuit, depending on how far back Dante is a nice replacement for the pure damage up front. I think I did lose my Maya in this fight, in both of the fights actually, but once the stun locks get rolling, it ends up being a non-issue altogether. Yeah, my Maya did die there, and there goes everybody, and just waiting for Iris. There you go. And the win. Again, this is one of those situations where if the enemy wasn't using Corvus, I would probably just use Yasmine instead. And, even with Arachne's magic damage versus the enemy Isaac, I'm not really concerned about all of that once the Maya and Arachne combo gets rolling. I really think that this is going to be something that everybody should level up, these two actually. But so we've only added, we had our main team, and then we added Iris now. I think we're on track to be less than 10 heroes total. On to the next fight. Now, this defending team I really love, though I don't think that I would ever actually recommend anybody use it. I don't like using Isaac on defense, and Ginger is a good marksperson, I guess, but I wouldn't recommend using her on defense either. Stick with her for offense. I did run this fight a couple of times because my Yasmine almost dies in every single fight. In fact, I think in the second fight she did die. I opted to make her a tank since there isn't a ton of frontline damage, but I do get hit pretty hard with Nebula boosted Isaac, almost killing her both times. This gets her low enough that her ultimate kicks off, and then when she starts dodging everything, nobody can really hit her. The other fight, the middle fight, I think we died because he got a lucky crit in, maybe. Yeah, just a lucky miss there. So I'd probably recommend using a tank here. I just used Sebastian just to prevent the silence. I think that if we would have used let's see, I think if we would have used a different, let's throw our tank of Astaroth back in here. I think this is probably going to be an auto win as well. Let's just skip battle here. Yeah, and there really isn't any issues whatsoever with this. Just using Astaroth, probably any tank, Aurora, Chaba, Marcus, even. Corvus probably would be good against Ginger as well. But should have just used Astaroth from the get. We actually had 2 players use the exact same Corvus, Dante, Isaac, Sebastian, Martha line. So I'm not going to fight this fight again. Just thought it was worth mentioning that I find it interesting. A strategy that you could use in Guild Wars and Clash of Worlds is having everybody put up the same team. And you actually see this a lot at super high level on the oldest, servers with the biggest whales. Everybody puts the same team up. And once you find a solution to that one team, there's a good chance that everybody that's attacking doesn't have that team built, right? One specific line can beat it, but not everybody has the Martha to the point, or the Yasmine leveled up to the point, or what have you. But since I already beat this, I'm not gonna fight it again. No sense in it. Okay, well, interestingly enough, there was actually 3 players using this same team on defense. Looks like we defeated him all 3 times pretty handily. Okay, on to the next Dante line. So this team right here is a very, very strong team on defense. There is a lot of randomness on this defensive line, and obviously Dante tank is always a tough thing to go against, especially boosted by Nebula. Fafnir, if he targets Dante, the fight can go one way. If he targets Nebula, the fight can go another. One of the strange things about this is the use of Merlin as the team pet, which I kind of disagree with. I think that Axel is the better choice, especially going for like a timeout team using double healer with the protective support hero of Fafnir. I think that Axel probably would have been a better choice. Maybe Oliver. I don't know. This is what the individual used. We actually struggle with this player every week. Some weeks we finish him in 1 hit. Other weeks it takes 2 or 3 hits to bring him down. I found a 100% win rate. Well, across 4 wins. Here, using the same heroes as we have before, just Astaroth, Yasmine, Maya, Arachne, and Martha. Still going strong, less than 10 heroes, but this is a really strong team. It can get a win even if you think that you've got it beat. So if you're thinking about the better teams to play for defense, could be a good one to build up. For this fight, unfortunately, we had to add in 2 new heroes, but obviously you have to have a way to counter Rufus if you're doing pure damage, and you need a way to counter these critical hits from Yasmine. So I added my Helios in, which everybody should level up a little bit at least to counter Yasmine's and other critical hit heroes. And I added in my Morrigan here to reduce the resurrection ability of Rufus to 0, even if he is dealt fatal pure damage, and then after that it's just a matter of time until everybody's dead. I opted to use Yasmine tank here instead of Astaroth tank or anything else, because I knew that the double armor artifact weapon from Helios and Martha would help me outlast that Ching Mao, and all I had to do basically was kill the Yasmine pretty quickly using Helios. Rufus was designed in a way to protect Yasmine from that magic damage, but without an enemy Sebastian to protect from stuns, of course Arachne's in there to kind of clean things up and control the fight. Another curious choice for defense, you got Galahad, Astaroth, Elmir, Celeste, and Yasmine. I just kept the same team. Morrigan counters Astaroth's revive, Helios counters Yasmine. Single target damage isn't great against Elmir, but Arachne stuns everybody in an area, so she's really good actually at cleaning up Elmir clones. Didn't need a tank in this instance. Really the only damage dealer outside of Yasmine is Elmir. Elmir single target frontline just adds to the dodginess of Yasmine because the damage output of Elmir is so low, but it is still nice and single target. Pretty straightforward fight. Obviously, having Helios and Morrigan leveled up is great. By the way, Tree of Wisdom in the bottom right hand corner, if you're curious about where my account's Tree of Wisdom is. And away we go. And that's it. On to the next fight. Okay, here's another instance of where you have to be careful if you're using Yasmine as an attacking line. Celeste on the enemy team means do not use Yasmine as a tank. She crushes Yasmine in the first position. So we have been using Astaroth all along. I would imagine really any tank would be great here. There's very little pressure at all. What there is a lot of on the enemy team is healing. There's a lot of healing. You have Celeste, great single target healer. Maya, great area of effect healer. Martha, great area of effect healer. You have magic defense artifacts, armor artifacts, all kinds of stuff going off. I almost used the same line as previously, but without really having a need to control any enemy damage, I didn't need Arachne. I opted instead to use Iris for some bonus damage. You can see, even though I'm using Iris, I'm not actually targeting that split soul on Astaroth too much there. So I'm not sure exactly how much I needed Iris. Maybe a better damage dealer, or not a better damage dealer, but a different damage dealer like Dante or Ishmael, or a mage, maybe Kark, I don't know. Somebody else would have been useful in this instance, but the pure damage that Iris does helps, kind of push through some of this healing. Having Morrigan obviously to block the revive, bunch of little babies. Morrigan adds armor penetration artifact for Yasmine's damage output, even though she does have pretty nice critical hit rate and pure damage with her poisons. Now that it's just Martha, all we got to do is let Iris's ult pop, and that's the end of it. So I actually like this defense a lot. You can see the core of the LOL Osh team in Zhu, Nebula, Sebastian. Oftentimes, a lot of players will use the LOL Osh team in Grand Arena and Guild War and Clash of Worlds because it's the first team that everybody seems to be leveling up because of the City of Asgard fight. Using Astaroth as a tank and Helios instead of a healer. So no healer, but using Helios, obviously I can't use Yasmine. I opted to use Iris instead. And of course, I'm using basically the same team as before. Morrigan to counter that Astaroth. I did add Axel as a pet to Martha to keep her a little bit healthier, just in case a Nebula boosted Zhu does, get a lucky crit on her and kill her. We wouldn't want that to happen. But the stuns from Arachne, Morrigan countering the revive, a little bit of armor penetration for Bitey, Iris's little, fun little French bulldog pet, and yeah, it's a pretty straightforward fight. A lot of these fights really come down to, can you do enough damage? And without the enemy having a healer, really the only thing you have to worry about is not dying to Zhu, to bad luck Zhu, a big hit to Zhu. So Martha really excels here. I showed in a fight yesterday that Thea actually can survive against Nebula boosted Zhu as well. Zhu is a strength hero, so his physical attack is a little bit lower. The only way Zhu is a danger to a team, especially if you have a Martha and a durable tank in the front, and by durable I mean Astaroth or a lucky dodging Aurora, not Rufus. Rufus's armor is pretty low. Corvus can do it. Having a more durable frontline tank as well as a Martha, these Zhu lines are there's just nothing to them. There's just nothing to them. One more fight, and this one's super straightforward. Let's get into it. The last fight of the day is against an ODH team. I'll be honest with you, Isaac, Martha almost can duel this team and win. Honestly, I think that Isaac Dorian can beat this team, but we just threw in some heroes that we've used a couple times before. Iris is really good at killing tanks against, Aurora. Really not enough damage output, even from a Nebula boosted Orion, to really have any concerns whatsoever. Didn't use Yasmine in this fight, obviously, because the enemy Helios. But yeah, Isaac is pretty strong. So that does it. If you're interested to see how she compares, and by she I mean Martha, to Thea, then I would say that Martha is going to be good with significantly less investment. Thea needs her Ascension skills, which means Ascension rank 5. Really needs maxed skins for survivability and have the healing output and all of that. I would say that Martha of the two is the easier and more important to level. And while the guild that we fought today is different than the guild we fought yesterday, I was able to defeat every single player of this guild. Again, big shout out to Divine Awakening. Every single player in this guild using a Martha line. And I'll have to count up the heroes, but I think we did get under 10 heroes for this line as well. So if you want to build a Martha team, or if you want to build any team using any of the heroes that I chose in today's fight, please let me know down below. If you have any questions or concerns about any of these fights, also please let me know. And if you would be interested in seeing a specific hero used in tomorrow's fight, also let me know in the comment section down below. On screen now, we've got the Thea fight from a day or two ago, and another video about the Titans and skins being added and all of that. Hope you watch those. If you haven't, please go watch them now. I love you all. Good luck in Dominion.